Hello, vinyl community. It's Mazzy here, and tribute albums. Great tribute albums. There's so many tribute albums, especially during the heyday of the compact discs in the 90s and 2000s, kind of in that 20-year period, give or take, some before, a few after. I'm going to show you some of my collection because I love tribute albums. Now, there were definitely tribute albums way back in the days of vinyl. The first series of vinyl, I'm not going to show those, and there's been some since. I just realized on one I'll have to grab. Maybe I'll do a little insert or a little, I'll stop somewhere. I forgot one. But I have a lot of CDs, and I have a lot of collections. I have a section of CDs that are collection, soundtracks, comps, but these are obviously comps, and they're, for the most part, what I'm going to showcase today are albums put out honoring an artist, honoring a label, a songwriter, some cases of maybe a producer. There might be a little bit of that. Some are more thought out than others. Some are just some are customly made, is that a word? Some were specifically made for the album, where the producer pulled together various artists to record tracks specifically for the tribute. Others were collected by A&R producers from labels, gathering existing tracks, in addition to some new things that they put together for artists. So for the albums. So here we go. And again, these are all on compact discs. While we're playing in the background, one of the comps I'm going to show later towards the end is on Thelonious Monk, one of the tribute things. So just while we're playing, this is not a tribute, but this is a great collection of Monk's Columbia solo piano albums. You probably know the covers better like that. And what's the other one? Monk Alone. Anyway, you don't need to see that. But anyway, Thelonious Monk solo piano in the background will play. It's something nice and not too attention grabbing in this case. Not that Monk is background music, but it's just wonderful piano, solo piano. Okay, I'm going to start with a tribute to Arthur Alexander. Adios Amigo, a tribute to Arthur Alexander. A lot of Beatle fans will know Arthur Alexander's music, mainly because of the song Anna that the Beatles did early in their career. John Lennon sang it. In this collection, we got Roger McGuinn from the Byrds singing Anna, Elvis Costello, Sally Sue Brown, Robert Plant is on here, Graham Parker, Mark Knopfler, Frank Black, Marshall Crenshaw, John Prine, Nick Lowe, Gary U.S. Bonds. I'm not going to read every one because if I read every artist on all this collection, I'd go crazy. So I'll just highlight some that I like. But great songwriter. A lot of people don't know the wealth of his material. And what's great about these kind of collections is it turns the listener, newer listeners, on to songs beyond the hits. Arthur Alexander. Beat the Retreat. This is a record that came out on Capitol around the time that in 1994 where Capitol actually signed Richard Thompson. Richard Thompson, great songwriter, singer, guitar player from Fairport Convention, and this is a great collection. It's got X doing Shoot Out the Lights, Wall of Death by R.E.M., Bonnie Raitt's on here, Bob Mole, Sid Straw, Los Lobos, doing a wonderful version of Down Where the Drunkards Roll. June Tabor, the great Irish singer, part of the Silly Sisters, who I'm a big fan of, with Maddie Pryor from the 70s. That's an album I've shown on my channel that I suggest everyone check out. David Byrne's on here, Graham Parker, Beau Soleil, the Five Blind Boys of Alabama, and again, Maddie Pryor is on here with Martin Carthy. So really a great overview, a great tribute to the great Richard Thompson. So you don't have to be dead for them to do a tribute of your music. The next artist, I have two different collections of for Leonard Cohen. Sometimes They were from movie soundtracks or documentaries, sometimes specifically made for the records. This is the Tower Song, a CD of the songs of Leonard Cohen. On here is Don Henley, Trish Yearwood, Bono. For a while, Bono and Willie Nelson were on every fucking tribute album. It's kind of like, if you noticed on the documentaries of rock and roll, especially in the last 20 years, if you know, you got to have either Bono or you got to have Dave Grohl in a talking head documentary of any friggin' artist, especially Bono for a while, and then Dave Grohl sort of replaced him. Aaron Neville's on here, Tori Amos is on here, Elton John, Willie Nelson, Peter Gabriel, Billy Joel is on here. What does Billy Joel sing? Light as the Breeze. I do have Billy Joel in my collection. Oh my God. Susanna Vega. And then on the other one, I have songs Leonard Cohen, I'm Your Fan. Kind of a great one, and it's REM again. First We Take Manhattan. Ian McCullough from Echo and the Bunnymen, the Pixies. Sometimes they use artists of a particular genre, but a lot of times they really mix it up, which I think is really great. These are fun listens, and I have them all on a hard drive, and sometimes I'll play them randomly. Jeffrey Oriama, a great South African, a great artist who died in the last couple of years, does Suzanne on here. The band James, I love James. He does So Long Marianne. There's Lloyd Cole, Robert Forster, Peter Astor, Dead Famous People, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds doing Tower of Song, and John Cale ending with his famous rendition of Hallelujah. He's one that really kind of brought that song to the forefront, even before Jeff Buckley. Until Karen Carpenter, you rarely knew how great a drummer could sing. Sorry, Ringo. And Don Henley. But this is before the Eagles, the Carpenters. This is a cool collection, seriously. If I Were a Carpenter, songs of the Carpenters. You got American Music Club on here, Show and Knife, Sonic Youth doing Superstar, Cranberries. Let's see, Dishwalla, Sheryl Crow, Red Cross, Cracker doing Rainy Days and Mondays. I love Cracker. Matthew Sweet is on here, Four Non Blondes and Grantley Buffalo. We've only just begun. So that's a Carpenters collection. So, okay, I got two of these. Now, I wasn't gonna show the Mojo ones right here. I might do a separate thing at some point. Maybe I'll pull those out. Because Mojo magazine, I used to have a subscription, and you know, with Mojo, great, probably the best music magazine still in print. And a lot of times they include a free CD. A lot of times they're a tribute to an album or an artist. Again, I'm not gonna usually pull those, just as happen to be in this section. This is Ray Davis from The Kinks, his songs. And it's got Red Cross again, Steve Wynn, Fountains of Wayne, Mudhoney, Yola Tango, Mark Lanigan, to name but a few. But this is the one that I really wanted to show. This is a great record. This is Where I Belong, the songs of Ray Davis and the Kinks. And it's got the Fountains of Wayne, Jonathan Richmond, Bebel Gilberto, which is the daughter, I believe, of Astrid Gilberto, the wonderful singer from Brazil who played with Stan Getz, sang with Stan Getz. Josh Rouse, Queens of the Stone Age, Matthew Sweet again. Might be a couple overlaps on these two records, I believe. And then there's a great Ray Davis and Damon Albarn live, doing a wonderful version live of Waterloo Sunset. Ron Sexsmith is on here also. So that's a great one of Ray Davis of the Kinks. And yes, it's pronounced Ray Davis. Grateful Dead. There's actually, I forget the name of it. It came out last year or year before. I have it on my hard drive and I can't find it right now. A box set of a lot of indie bands, recent indie bands and Americana bands doing the Grateful Dead. But this is the first one that I recall dedicated. This is a cool collection. It's got Los Lobos doing Bertha, Bruce Hornsby, Harsh Mellows, Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello also, I forgot, he's one that's on all these friggin' records too. He likes to jump in on these. And it's a great thing that he does. I kind of kid and like slog these guys and women, the ones that keep, like Bono, Dave Grohl. Actually, Dave Grohl hasn't been on any of these, so there we go. But anyway, Elvis Costello does Ship of Fools, a great Dead song. Susanna Vega, China Doll and Cassidy. Dwight Yoakam, Warren Zevon, David Lindley doing Casey Jones. Indigo Girls, Uncle John's Band. Lyle Lovett, Friend of the Devil. That is maybe the best thing on here. I love Lyle Lovett's version of Friend of the Devil. Perfect. To Lay Me Down by the Cowboy Junkies. Midnight Oil doing Wharf Rat. Burning Spear, Dr. John. Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction doing Ripple. How appropriate is that? Just when you think of it. You know what Ripple is? Cheap ass wine. Now, there's been a lot of Dylan. I'm going to show two here. This is an incredible record. Is it Rolling Bob? A reggae tribute to Bob Dylan. And this is great. But this is sort of a band, not various artists. So it's Sly Dunbar, Glenn Brownie, Steve Golden, Robbie Lynn, Sky Juice, Dean Fraser, Lee Jaffe, Leba Hilbert, and Genevieve. So it's really one sort of put together semi-super reggae band doing Bob Dylan reggae tribute. So it's not several artists, but there are a mix actually. Well, actually, I'm wrong. Never mind, I'm wrong. But I think it's got Maggie's Farm by Toots Hibbett, Toots and the Maytals, Lay Lady Lay by the Mighty Diamonds, Luciano doing Knock on Heaven's Door, Greg Isaacs doing Mr. Tambourine Man, Don Carlos and Bob Dylan, a reggae mix of Bob Dylan's I and I, his version, but a reggae mix. And this is a 2 CD set. Some dub stuff on here as well, but cool collection of Bob Dylan. There's been, again, so many people have covered Bob Dylan songs. You could get which wasn't a tribute album, but there's an album that came out, The Birds Sing Dylan, really combining all the songs the Birds covered of Dylan on one collection. Just love the name of this one, A Nod to Bob. Let's bob your knob, Bob, Dob. Greg Brown, Norman Blake, Gary Davis, Cliff Everett, Ramajak Elliott, Eliza Gilkison, John Gjorka, The Paperboys, Susie, Maggie Roach. So this is Rosie Sorrell's sort of a folky, new grass nod to Bob, tribute to Bob Dylan. I love this one. Got a great feel to it, great sound to it. So that's another one. I should have showed this when I did my Billy Bragg. If you haven't seen it, watch The Archivist and I. We just last week, over the weekend, posted a tribute to Billy Bragg, or not a tribute, but an overview. Love Billy Bragg, but he's on this collection. This is Folkways, A Vision Shared. It's a tribute to Woody Guthrie, and it's got Sweet Honey in the Rock. It's got Bob Dylan, Pretty Boy Floyd, John Mellencamp, Bruce Springsteen, I Ain't Got No Home, U2, doing Jesus Christ, Rock Island Line, which is, done by everyone. And on our video, we talked about it by Lonnie Donegan, the skiffle craze, skiffle music. Willie Nelson is on here doing Philadelphia Lawyer. How novel is that? And I love him. Hobo's Lullaby by Emmylou Harris. Taj Mahal is on here. Actually, I was wrong about this one. I'm thinking of another one which is down the line. Billy Bragg is not on this particular one. Bruce Springsteen, Vigilante Man, Goodnight Irene, Brian Wilson. But one of the tributes to Woody Guthrie. Oh, it's to Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly. I hate to slight Leadbelly on there, but Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly tribute. Here's the one I was thinking of. Till We Outnumber 'Em. And this was a documentary concert, I believe, or a concert, Till We Outnumber Them. And this is Play the Songs of Woody Guthrie. And on this one, it has Ramon Jack Elliott, Billy Bragg, Bruce Springsteen again, Riding in My Car. Arlo Guthrie, of course, son of. Bruce Springsteen, Country Joe McDonald, Indigo Girls. Tim Robbins doing Born Naked, the actor Tim Robbins. Ramon Jack Elliott. This is a concert, sort of a documentary, and I've seen this, but it's been years, probably 20 years since I've seen this. But anything with Woody Guthrie, anything with Billy Bragg, and Arlo Guthrie and Bob Dylan and all great stuff. Jimi Hendrix. I think there are several, but this is the one I'm showing. Stone Free, Jimi Hendrix. You got The Cure, Eric Clapton, Spin Doctors, Buddy Guy, Seal with Jeff Beck, The Pretenders, Slash and Paul Rogers together, Belly, Pat Metheny, amongst others. Can't have much Hendrix, and it's great. I love other people interpreting songs. Now, I should have said this up front, but for me, cover records are best when an artist takes this song and makes it theirs. A good example, the obvious example when I look back, is Jimi Hendrix doing All Along the Watchtower. A great Dylan song that a lot of people really, didn't really pay attention to when it was on John Wesley Harding, but Hendrix made it his. In a way, the Hendrix version, you could argue is the definitive version. When someone covers note for note rendition, especially like a Beatles song, really, you got the Beatles songs. If you're gonna you can do it, make it yours. And now we move on to the next phase. There's a lot here, but watch this in phases if you want. John Hiatt. I'm about to do a feature on John Hiatt. Big fan of John Hiatt's songs, an amazing American songwriter. And Don Dixon is on here. The Neville Brothers, John Adams, Roseanne Cash, Kelly Willis, Marshall Crenshaw, who I just spoke of in the Power Pop video I did, Jeff Healey, Nick Lowe in his cowboy outfit, Rodney Crowell, Dave Edmunds, Emmylou Harris again, John Doe is on here from the fabulous John Doe from X, Mitch Ryder, Jeff Healey Band, Roseanne Cash again, Chris McKay, great. John Hiatt is a great songwriter. You don't know a lot of his songs, possibly. Probably his most famous was a Crazy Little Thing Called Love that made Bonnie Raitt a household name after something like 10 albums that were miles sellers. She breaks big on Capitol Records. This is a collection put together by NME, the British newspaper magazine. 1990, this came out, The Last Temptation of Elvis. And this is obviously Elvis Presley, not Elvis Costello. You got Bruce Springsteen doing a great, rousing rendition of Viva Las Vegas. You got Tanita Tikaram, Loving You. I love her, and I know, was it the Fat Man with the beard talking about music? I think he mentioned someone recently did, or was it, no, it wasn't him. One of my UK friends there. I'm sorry, I forgot which one. Her first album, Sobriety, is an incredible record. Great low voice. I think it was one of the gender bender submissions, and I apologize, I forgot who showed that, but I love her. Robert Plant, Let's Have a Party. The Pogues. Paul McCartney, It's Now or Never. It's now or never. Paul McCartney's version is great on this. When he really rocks it and does those sort of retro things without getting overproduced, he's so brilliant. He's wonderful. Aaron Neville, Vivian Stanchel and the Big Boys. Vivian Stanchel you might know from the Bonzo Dog Band. The Primitives, Hall & Oates. Ian McCullough again, Return to Sender. Ian McCullough from Echo and the Bunnymen, Fuzzbox, Blow Monkeys. Lemmy and the Upsetters with Mick Green. Nancy Griffith. Jeff Healey again, he's on a couple. The Cramps doing Jailhouse Rock. Pop Eats Itself, and they end with Elvis Presley doing King of the Whole Wide World. As I recall, these were songs pulled for this comp, not specifically recorded for this. And this was in support of the Nordoff Robbins musical therapy. There are some of these, which I didn't, again, another thing I forgot to mention, a bunch of these comps were made as benefit records for whatever charity or situation, or whether it's climate change or whether it's blind baby funds or something, and which is pretty great. Okay, Pearls in the Snow, Kinky Friedman. I love Kinky Friedman. I don't know, I almost want to feature him, but there's not a lot to feature. But he's a great writer, wrote a lot of great mystery books. You may know him from Kinky Friedman and the Texas Jew Boys, Ride 'em Jew Boy, They Ain't Making Jews Like Jesus Anymore, 6 Million Miles. Guess who opens this album up? Willie Nelson doing Ride 'em Jew Boy. Willie Nelson, Ride 'em Jew Boy, love that. Delbert McClinton's on here, Sleep at the Wheel, Dwight Yoakam, Guy Clark, Marty Stewart, Tom Paul Glaser, Chucky Weiss, the Chucky in Love fame from the Ricky Lee Jones song of that title. Billy Swan, Lyle Lovett doing Sold American, that's a beautiful song. The Texas Jew Boys do a couple, Tom Waits, and Kinky and Little Juford. Little Juford has been with Kinky for a long time. Again, I've seen him many times live. The first album, he was on Vanguard Records, and then he went to ABC Records, and then he went to Epic Records. Hilarious, so funny. He ran for governor of Texas. I think he should have won. I think Texas would be a better place if Kinky Friedman had become governor. You know, Kinky Friedman. Love it. Doc Pomus, the great Doc Pomus, great songwriter. If you don't know the name of Doc Pomus, you definitely know his songs. Lonely Avenue, Boogie Woogie Country Girl. He wrote Viva Las Vegas. Elvis did a bunch of his songs. A Mess of Blues, This Magic Moment. He did Youngblood. So we got, let's see, Turn Me Loose, I'm on a Roll, Save the Last Dance for Me. God, you know his songs, great classic rock songs from the 60s. On here is Los Lobos, Bob Dylan, Sean Coleman, John Hiatt, Lou Reed, B.B. King, The Band, Irma Thomas, Roseanne Cash, Dion, Dr. John, Solomon Burke, Brian Wilson again. So he's getting on these a bunch of these tribute albums, and Aaron Neville. But a tribute Till the Night Is Gone, a tribute to Doc Pomus, one of the great songwriters of rock and roll of the 60s. Amazing, amazing. Huge man, big man, but amazing songwriter. Okay, one of my favorite artists has always been, always since he came out, Graham Parsons. You know him from Graham Parsons joining the Byrds and really kind of pushing the Byrds a little more into influences like the Louvin Brothers and country music, traditional country music with Sweetheart of the Rodeo, discovering and putting forth Emmylou Harris with Grievous Angel and GP, and starting and on the first 2 albums of his band, the Flying Burrito Brothers. And this is a tribute, Return of the Grievous Angel, a tribute to Graham Parsons. He wore a nudie suit wonderfully. That's a nudie suit. If you don't know it, look it up, but great cowboy outfits. On here, the Pretenders and Emmylou Harris together. Cowboy Junkies doing Ooh Las Vegas. Sin City by Beck and Emmylou Harris together in one song. Evan Dando and Julian Hatfield, the Mavericks. Chris Hillman and Steve Earle, of course, Chris Hillman with the Byrds and the Burritos. Sheryl Crow and Emmylou Harris. Elvis Costello. Why not? It's like Elvis Costello would, he's one of those guys that would, what's the old joke? You show up to a party, you'd show up to a party invitation. There's a joke there and I can't remember it. 100 Years From Now by Wilco. The long set, the long box, the long track, the long cut. There you go, there's your Wilco connection. Whiskey Town doing A Song for You. Gillian Welch doing Hickory Wind, and the Rolling Creek Dippers. That might be a bunch of people together. Lucinda Williams and David Crosby, Return of the Grievous Angel. One of my favorite artists, Graham Parsons. Turned me on to a lot of music, and if you saw my tribute to my friend, my eulogy, my friend Vernon, that's where it came from, really pushed it. Now, a tribute album to a person that hardly anyone knew about, unless you're sort of, in the know, in the cult, grew up in the Bay Area, into psychedelic, and a tribute and a cover of an entire album that nobody bought. More Or, Skip Spence, a tribute to Skip Spence. Skip Spence was one of the original members of Moby Grape. Went crazy, little drug, mental problems, mental issues, but did an album on Columbia called Or. Nobody bought it. More Or helped resuscitate the album Or. Now More Or has been reissued on Sundays. There's a vinyl version of it, expanded vinyl version of it. Or has been reissued on Sundays with extra tracks as well. Great album, really interesting. This may be more accessible than Or for some people because you got Robert Plant, Mark Lanigan, Alejandro Escovedo, the Do-Rocks, Jay Farrar, Mudhoney, Robin Hitchcock, Tom Waits, the -5, the Ophelias. That gives you an idea, but really good. I recommend that. I've showed More Or and Or in terms of vinyl versions. Bruce Springsteen. One Step Up, Two Steps Back. The songs of Bruce Springsteen. On here you have the Smithereens, Kurt Newman, John Wesley Harding, Nils Lofgren, John Hiatt again. He's up there too. He's coming to the party all the time. Rightly so. Sid Straw. You got The Knack. You got Joe Cocker. Elliot Murphy. Gary U.S. Bonds. Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes, of course. The Fever. So I think these were put together. These weren't originally recorded. Streets of Philadelphia by Richie Havens. All these were not recorded for this particular album, as I recall. Sonny Burgess doing Tiger Rose. Anyway, double album. Asbury Park, USA. Now this is a tribute to a label, and there's been a few of these, so I'm going to just show one of things similar. Sun Records, great Sam Phillips. There's a Sam Phillips comp. I don't think I'm showing that, the big Sam Phillips comp. Good Rockin' Tonight, the legacy of Sun Records, and it's got Paul McCartney doing That's All Right, Jeff Beck and Chrissy Hine, Mystery Train, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, My Bucket's Got a Hole in It, Johnny Halliday's in it, Elton John, Tom Petty, Carl Perkins and Van Morrison together doing Sitting on Top of the World, Brian Ferry, Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton, Sheryl Crow, Chris Isaak. Chris Isaak, actually, he doesn't get a lot of love, or I don't see a lot. I love Chris Isaak. He kind of came out with Silvertone, the first albums on Warner Brothers, and I'm a big fan of Chris, compared to Roy Orbison with that kind of pretty boy Elvis look, but an amazing voice. He did a record maybe 5-6 years ago, Sun Record tribute, and it's really wonderful record. So I love that record. This is a cool record too. I remember when this came out. I remember renting a convertible in LA with my buddy Larry, my late friend Larry, my late drummer friend Larry. This drum set here was Larry's. 2 rooms, Elton John and Bernie Taupin tribute, and we were playing the CD in the car, and it started raining in LA and the roof leaked. When we brought the car back to the rental car agency at the airport, this French woman, we kept saying, it leaks, can you do something? I mean, she says, they all leak. They all leak. It was a convertible. It shouldn't leak, we got some stuff damaged. They all leak. All convertibles leak? Of course, for years we kind of made fun of that accent. No offense to you French people watching, but she kept saying, they all leak. No problem, they all leak. It's not a problem, they all leak. Hey, enjoy it. Come on. Anyway, Eric Clapton doing a great, opens up with Border Song. Great version of Border Song. Kate Bush, Rocket Man, you've heard that version of Rocket Man. Goes into a sort of a mini reggae. I think she's playing the ukulele. There's a video of that around. Sting, The Who sings Saturday Nights All Right for Fighting. The Beach Boys, Wilson Phillips. Of course, that's when Wilson Phillips was hot. Joe Cocker, John Bon Jovi, Tina Turner, Rod Stewart, Sinead O'Connor, Phil Collins doing Burn Down the Mission, and George Michael Tonight. You kind of can tell of when these records came out by the artists that have been selected or they've put on these collections. Some obviously have held up over the years, and some are so topical and limited in their appeal to some people. But these are all great versions. These are fun records. Now, this is probably an artist that many of you, Elliot Cruz, I'm sure, knows this guy, and a handful others who are into traditional country music. But Webb Pierce. Webb Pierce, great country writer and artist. Songs of Webb Pierce. Again, on here we got Mandy Barnett, we got Charlie Pride, Rosalie Flores, and the Jordanaires. Jordanaires were the backup singers with Elvis. Dwight Yoakam again, George Jones. Emmylou Harris is on a lot of these, she's here. Allison Moore, Matt King, Crystal Gale, Guy Clark and the Jordanaires. So I think this was made, guess what, Willie Nelson's on this record. Who would have thought? Billy Walker and the Carol Lee Singers, and Pat Tillis and the Jordanaires. So I think this was actually a record put together specifically for this project. Yep. Gail Davies put it together for Chickadee Productions. So this is one that was made specifically as a tribute to Webb Pierce. But great songwriter, great things. Now, these next 5, before I end up, I got 2 more to go. Well, 2. I'm going to put these all together, because Hal Willner is someone you should know about. A musician, arranger, producer, A&R, amazing artist. And the first one, I can't remember which order these came in, but Lost in the Stars, a tribute to Kurt Weill. I think this is the first one. Yeah, let's go with this one first. Kurt Weill, if you don't know, those of you who know The Doors, Alabama song, Kurt Weill. Kurt Weill wrote sort of 3 penny operas with like Bertolt Brecht and the like, and Mac the Knife. You know Mac the Knife. A lot of his songs have been updated and popularized by contemporary pop singers like Bobby Darin and the Doors and others. But Lost in the Stars, the music of Kurt Weill. What's great about Hal Willner, he brought together musicians and actually produced the entire sessions. And they really blend beautifully as an album. Unlike a lot of these that are just great tracks, the Kurt Weill, actually the Hal Willner produced records are amazing. This goes back to 1985, so this is early in the influence, early in CDs. I'd like to have a vinyl on this, but it works really wonderful. But it has Steve Weisberg, the great, somewhat great MOR, somewhat jazz flautist. Sting, the Fowler Brothers with Stan Ridgway. You know Stan Ridgway, who was in Wall of Voodoo. He was pretty kind of hot then. Marianne Faithfull and Chris Spedding. Van Dyke Parks. Richard Butler. Armadillo String Quartet. John Zorn. Van Dyke Parks again. Lou Reed. Carl Bley and Phil Woods. Elliott Sharp. Dagmar Krause, really Mark Bingham, John Adams, and Errol Neville. So a really fusing of everything from avant-garde to traditional to jazz to folk, freak folk. Todd Rundgren with Gary Window, Charlie Hayden, Van Dyke Parks. It has a really beautiful feel to it, and it's one of those records, and of course I'm not going to compare it to, but yeah, I'm going to mention like Sgt. Pepper, where it's about how the album fuses together and the way it's organized. The other one, which is really amazing, he did right after that, I believe, the next year, 88, a couple years later, Stay Awake. These take a lot to put together. And the Stay Awake are various interpretations of music by Walt Disney Films. So you got Hi Diddle Dee, The Actor's Life for Me, Ken Nordine, Bill Frisell, and Wayne Horvitz. Wayne Horvitz is in Seattle and owns part owner of a club called the Royal Room that I frequent quite a bit, just down in my neighborhood. Great stuff. Natalie Merchant with Michael Stipe and the Roaches. It's got Baby Mine, the song from Dumbo by Bonnie Raitt. I Want to Be the Monkey Song, the monkey song from The Jungle Book by Los Lobos. Bill Frisell, Sid Straw, Buster Poindexter, Ima Sumac, I wonder, Aaron Neville, Garth Hudson, NRBQ, Betty Carter, Replacements, Bill Frisell again, Sinead O'Connor, Wayne Horvitz, Harry Nilsson doing Zippity Doodah, James Taylor, Ringo Starr ends with When You Wish Upon a Star. Great ending. It's almost like the end of him on the White Album doing Good Night. It's that kind of feel. But I think on here somewhere, did I miss it? Well, Ken Nordine again with Bill Frisell and Wayne Horowitz. Pinocchio medley. I think Tom Waits is on some of this stuff, does some vocal and voice work. Again, not in the order. He also did the songs, September songs, more music of Kurt Weill, Elvis Costello, The Persuasions, Betty Carter, Nick Cave, PJ Harvey, Lou Reed. And then the reason I got influenced to put on this Monk, he did a Monk album too. Thelonious Monk, tribute with Bruce Flowers, NRBQ, Donald Fagen, obviously, and Steve Kahn. Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, Dr. John, Betty Harris, was not, Don Was, who now is the president, runs Blue Note Records, Joe Jackson, Randy Weston, Chris Spedding, and Peter Frampton, Steve Lacy and Elvin Jones, so a lot of good jazz people, Steve Lacy and Gil Evans, Carl Bly with Johnny Griffin. Cool collection, and of course a nice tribute to Thelonious Monk. And the last one of this series is Weird Nightmare. This is an amazing record. Weird Nightmare, music of Charles Mingus. God, I love this one. This again, Meditations on Mingus. This is out there, a little spacey, but really beautiful. And as I recall, this is a little different because again, let's see, who's on here? I don't know, these aren't specific artists doing the different things on here, so I might be forgetting in my memory right now. I can't remember who plays on this. This is 1992. So it's got Bill Frisell, Michael Blair, Greg Cohen, a lot of jazz artists. So it's different kind of, it's not a typical traditional, it's really all that musicians doing these soundscapes in a way. So it's not the traditional song like the rest. Maybe I shouldn't include it here, but I wanted to include like a little Hal Willner section. So I'm doing it because it's my video. I'm gonna end with one of my favorite artists, favorite tempestuous songwriters. Not tempestuous artist, wonderful songwriters. That's a better way of putting it. Warren Zevon. Enjoy every sandwich. That's one of his famous quotes. Enjoy every sandwich, about life. And this is Don Henley, Searching for a Heart. Werewolves of London by Adam Sandler. Steve Earle and Reckless Kelly doing Reconsider Me. My Rides Here, Bruce Springsteen. He does a lot of these too. Bruce is on a lot of these. The Wallflowers, Lawyers, Guns, and Money. Jordan Zevon, Studebaker, that's Warren's son. Billy Bob Thornton doing The Wind, the actor, yes. Peter Yorn, Splendid Isolation. Bob Dylan, Mutineer. I think it might be a live version. He did that on a live version of that, as I believe. Ry Cooder and David Lindley. Of course, you know me, I'm a Ry Cooder fan. The Pixies, Jorge Calderon and Jennifer Warnes. Jorge Calderon was on a lot of Warren Zevon's records. And the beautiful song Carmelita, or a couple of the songs, he sings these beautiful Spanish interludes. So, that's Mazzy's overview of tribute albums. If you have any other tribute albums, I have other ones that I know I didn't pull that are in other sections like soundtracks and things. and I didn't really go through that, but this is enough, right? But if you have any other ones or your favorites, write them down, make comments, the usual. Subscribe. Half of you are subscribers, half of you are not. If you want to see these videos or get a notification, you don't have to, you can check your notification things, so you don't have to get a notification. But if you like the content, enjoy it, subscribe. If not, that's fine too. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the music more than anything else. Screw the videos. Enjoy the music. Thanks. Mazzy loves you.